What's up, guys? We have a patch overview to do today. So this week, all heroes are free, so you can go ahead and get bling discounts on any hero that you want to play if you get them up to these levels. Attack mode improvements, new gameplay option, camera damping. We added a camera damping option to help smooth out the camera movement. You can turn it off in the settings menu. I haven't messed around with it. I don't know if it'll make the camera like rotate slower or something. If it does, I'll probably keep it off. I don't know exactly what it does. Shift autofire. I already use this pretty often when I'm playing. Basically, when you hold down shift, your character will stand there and not move and will just fire. You can use that so you don't actually have to click on the creatures. You just have to click in their general direction. It helps just to be able to stutter step a little bit quicker, basically. Um, Heroes, movement skills, roll, and electric charge immunity has been restored. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I think that like maybe the mage needed this, but I kind of wish they did something else. I actually kind of liked how the game was playing out with roll and electric charge immunity being gone, because you couldn't just roll through monsters. Um, I guess maybe I liked it because my defense really benefited from this change this week with the derplicators. You can't really roll through those derps without taking damage, and it was kind of fun that way. I kind of liked how they did that because they added so much mobility. Reducing that immunity seemed like a good option, but either way, that's the change. I don't know exactly how I feel about that one. Mage Deathbolt reduced prepare time. This was absolutely necessary. That was completely disgusting, the amount of prepare time that it needed when it wasn't even giving you a shield anymore. Creatures hit point bonuses lowered roughly 20%. I tend to not like anything that has to do with defenses losing more often or winning less, so I'm not a big fan. I don't think it's really necessary. I don't think defenses are necessarily winning that often. Like, I've had decent success getting through castles for the most part. I don't see how that was really necessary. Temporary stun resistance is now reactivated. I do like this. I don't know if it's enough because I was watching through a few replays where it seems like people can still keep things stun locked, but maybe they get up and move just slightly towards them. But as long as you have a little bit of room to kite, it's not too big of a deal, especially with having roll and electric charge immunity restored. I think this will be fine because you can stun lock them as they're slowly walking towards you, and then you can just roll to the other side of the room, keep doing the same thing. It still have the same issues where you have to constantly be in animations to keep them stun locked so that you can keep your mana up and all that, so you'll take trap damage while you're doing it. So it's basically the same thing that we've had the last patch. I don't think a whole lot changes with this. I think it's still necessary for mages to do that to be able to get through castles. But I initially thought that mages were going to be too weak when they when they added this back into the game. But after watching some replays, it seems like they're probably in roughly the same spot that they were in previously, which is still on the weaker side, I would say. Ballistic cannons, sadistic cannons, and fire mines now deal more damage on creatures, but not on heroes. I don't really like this either. I didn't like the idea, like way back when they added trap damage to creatures. I didn't like that anyway. Like, I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me. Why have friendly fire between your defense? But I can understand why. It's just the way that they did that initially is they made creatures run away from those things, but that just completely bugged out the AI. So now they removed that AI code from the game, but they just run into these things like sadistic cannons, which will completely destroy creatures already. Luckily, it's not very often that ballistic cannons actually hit your creatures. It does happen once in a while, but it's not as often as, say, spike traps and stuff like that. So this is part of the patch that I kind of really dislike. So they re-upped the health potion numbers to what they were before, so now you have 9,000 potions, which really benefits knights and runaways because they have higher hit points, whereas my archer will be able to get away with using like one of these potions at 4,500. And then this is probably the part that I like the least out of the patch, reducing the cooldown on potion consumption from 15 to 2. That's such a drastic change, and it removes one core way of killing someone in your defense, right? So there was a couple different ways to kill people, but for the most part, the ways that you would kill them is you would either run them out of potions completely, or you would damage them, they would have to use a potion, and then you would damage them down so much so quickly that they didn't have their cooldown back up. And that was actually a gameplay mechanic that you had to play around as an attacker, and that you could try to play towards as a defender. You could try to force that out by building these really compact defenses. I don't think compact defenses are going to be nearly as good anymore. And considering there's only 3 potions, they're really driving that run them out of potions type scenario to actually get your wins as the defender. I'm not a big fan. If they wanted to reduce this, I wish they would have taken more of a median rather than just taking it from 15 to 2. Basically, the 2 seconds is so that you don't spam it and use up all 3 of your potions instantly. That's really the only reason that they have the 2 seconds on there. They want it to be a no cooldown ability, so that's kind of unfortunate. I'm not really a big fan of that. Burn in Hello. Last week we had the Duplicator. This week is Burn in Hello. Check out upcoming news for more information. We'll go ahead and take a look at that in a little bit. Blacksmith and inventory improvements. As promised, we continue to work on the performance with the performance improvements in terms of UI. We have converted the blacksmith with some great improvements. Blacksmith converted to the new UI system for faster performance and consistent drag and drop control. Mini inventory has been removed, and we have now attached the full inventory. Equipped items can now be dragged into upgrade and item crafting. Item quality section has been removed from upgrades. Basically, it's just a whole lot of stuff changing for the blacksmith to help the UI not lag as much. I really think that they need to do something about the friends list UI, or maybe I need to get rid of some of the inactives that I have on my friends list. I don't know. Every time I open that thing up, my game freezes for a moment as it loads the list. Inventory. Each equipped item in the inventory now has a level clearly marked, or its level clearly marked. Improved representation of the hero level. New loading screens. I saw this when I first loaded the game today. I looked at this and I was like, oh my god, that's so ugly. I don't like the new loading screen, at least when you first load the game. I think it doesn't even, like, it looks arcadey, but it looks terrible. It looks like an arcade game made from like the 60s or something. Like, it's all like blotchy, and I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. You can now hold your ground by holding shift or the spacebar. This will stop your hero from moving while still firing. You can turn off this feature in the settings menu. This has already been the case for a very long time, pretty much since the game came out, so I've been using that for a while. I use it in a lot of those top-down, like 3D action RPG type games like Diablo 3 and stuff like that. They all have them. Steam achievements for people who are interested in that. I still play the standalone client back from before it was even released on Steam. Other in the Snodder Fortress, the Snodders will not face the walls, material-matic stuff. One good bug fix, I don't know if it's listed here, but when you look in replays, it actually shows the correct skills for the hero that's attacking your castle, which is really good. I've been wanting that for a while. That bug has been around for so long. I'm really glad that they fixed that. I'm not sure if there's anything important. I don't usually go through bug fixes because for the most part they're, little things like icons and stuff like that being changed. So I don't think there's a whole lot here. I think we're going to go ahead and jump into my castle. So let's go ahead and do that. You can see the new trap here. It's basically a jelly wall on fire. Yeah, it's interesting. We'll take a look at it. The first initial thought process when I looked at this trap and when I read about it is that the turbo mode makes you move so fast and makes you be able to roll so much that it's not really going to deal any damage to you and it's going to be a waste. It's only a power cost of 3. Is that similar to these ones? Yeah, it's the same power cost. Let's go ahead and jump in with my archer, I guess, for a second. Take a look at how much damage this does. For power cost 3, and there's the new loading screen, I don't like it. I think the lines across it and the way that it looks like old style arcade I'm not a big fan of, but either way, it's only loading screens, right? I didn't want to force that out, but either way, here it is. It does really quick ticks, as you can see. You'll block a lot more often because it's dealing all of its damage in small bursts. It does damage quite quickly when you're standing inside of it. The problem is, and will be, that you have to try to force people to stand inside of this, right? So I see this as being only useful if you can throw them in, get them silenced, and then maybe have like some sort of a Charge Cyclops or a Scorpio or a Hungerbot that pushes you back into it and keeps you inside for as long as possible. If you can do that, you will take so much damage from just those 3 points that you'll have to use a potion pretty quickly. Also, if you can force out Corrosive Mind, which is what I was going to show, it increases the damage quite a bit. I wanted to restart instead of leave, oh well. So, It's an interesting trap. I'm not sure how practical it'll be in actually using it. It'll be more of a death trap setup, even if it doesn't work, then it's just not going to work. But you can see my health drops very quickly. I mean, almost instantly. You really only have to keep them in there for 2 seconds or so for them to force out a potion, which is pretty good, all things considered. But you will need 100% to silence them while they're inside. Absolutely. So I'll be interested to see if anyone comes up with some crazy setups with this thing. As you can see, it does about 150 to 200 damage, and what I wanted to show is if you can get the Corrosive Mind buff on them, it seems to do quite well. So let's go ahead and do that, and see how long it takes for me to die once I have Corrosive debuff on me. Alright, so I have Corrosive debuff, and it turns from like 150 to 200 to 250 to 300, which is really strong. I mean, it just melted my hit points completely. So that's a good thing. So I see this in certain situations where you get thrown in by springboard traps into one of these, and then while you're stunned from the springboard trap, you get silenced, and maybe as you're trying to leave, you get pushed back in with a Cyclops or a Hunger Bot. That's probably the only situation that I see this being good in. The damage is a lot faster than I thought it was going to be, so at least you get some damage down, even if you just walk through it and you don't use abilities. You can see I take 3,000 damage just walking through it, and that's just like the shortest way through possible. But if you roll through it, you'll barely take 1 tick of damage, I think. Let me test that again real quick. Also, roll looks very weird right now. I don't know if they changed something with roll besides the what do you call it? Um, the immunity. But you notice how like after I stop rolling, I like stop for a second for just like a quick millisecond. I just stop moving. It's really weird. I don't understand that. Either way, let's see how much damage I take if I just roll through it. Well, that was not rolling. I don't know why I didn't roll for some reason. Alright, let's heal back up. That's weird. Why am... I don't know. I'm gonna restart. I don't understand why I wasn't rolling when I clicked. Alright, let's try this again. So I take 1 tick of damage if you just straight up roll through it. And sometimes you can block that as well. If you force them to go the long way, you'll take a lot more ticks of damage. But yeah, basically this is going to be one of those where you have to get them on like a springboard trap, throw them inside, and while you're stunned, get the silence on so that they can't directly roll out of it. I think that's the only situation where this is going to be applicable. But other than that, I think it's like decent for the defense point cost if you can make use of its damage. If you can't make use of its damage, it's going to be worthless. But I don't know. It is a jelly wall. It slows down just like the other one. So the mana drain actually wasn't probably as good as the health drain will be. Although it's better in the turbo mode than it used to be. But I think that the health drain will be useful. Like every time you use a jelly wall, I think that using a Hello or whatever will be a better situation. It'll be a better trap to use. I think that's probably correct to say. So I'll probably get 1 or 2 of them. I'm not going to get super excited and buy as many dirt as I bought Durplicators, but it's an okay unit. You know, I'll throw one in here and there when I use jelly walls. Like here might be a good situation to use it in. Possible that I could use it here. I have noticed that people just kind of like run past this. So when you're using those, they're going to have to get up to this point, aggro them, have them drop down, and then go back through unless they want to take a bunch of damage. So that might be a good situation to try it out in this room. So I might go ahead and do that, since it's the same point cost as jelly walls. It's an okay trap, you know? It's not too bad. So I think that's pretty much it for the video today. In other news, next week is Black Friday, and for people who don't know what that is, if you don't live in the United States or whatever, it's basically a day where idiot Americans go out after Thanksgiving and just buy a bunch of stuff because retailers do a bunch of deals. That's basically what it is. I work in one of those retailers, so I have to work a 12-hour shift from like Thursday to Friday, which is basically a lot more. That's when I do most of my recording. So next week I'll probably have less videos overall. I will try to pre-record some this week and get things ready. We are going to start a new game, which is this War of Mine. A lot of people probably already know what it is. I'll talk more about that when I actually do the video, because I know not everybody will be interested. But videos like the patch and other things that are like time sensitive, where it gets released and then I do a video on it, will probably be delayed because of that. So just keep that in mind for next week. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.